All right, thanks for meeting with me in here today. I know it's a little of a strange
A little
schedule
different.
today on a half day, but we're going to talk a little bit about planning for grade 7.
Okay.
Using Unit 3,
Yes.
not Unit 2.
Perfect.
And your plan was to start next Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yes.
All right.
So we'll have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay, so what are your thoughts about Unit 3, and what are the things that you want to get started for next week?
Let me get my book open.
Yeah, page 224.
Thank you. That way I can look. So I initially was thinking we could already start reading like Thursday or Friday, but I think the launch should be 3 days. Should it be longer?
No, I
Okay.
think 3 days would be
Okay.
fine, especially since we're starting something new and there's
Right.
the day off Tuesday. So
Yeah, too
I
much.
think,
Okay. Perfect.
You're looking at the launch,
Yes.
which is on page 228. It's
Mhm.
called At the Crossroads.
Okay.
And it's informative text. So do
Perfect.
you have the standards?
Yes.
Perfect.
Perfect thing. Okay.
So Unit 3, informational text. There's all of these different
Okay.
standards. And we know with the launch, the goal is to what? Look at
I would say, in general, my goals for the launch. I mean, I would say definitely I want to start using this earlier on
Okay.
with the students, like to maybe show them this during the launch. Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So
because it's informational text, and that's going to be the goal for the performance task at the end.
okay.
So it's a model, and
Okay.
it's easier accessible for them. It's
Okay.
lower Lexile level 930.
Perfect.
So we will. So you're thinking about using these standards to help map it out.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
say to start at least. And then I feel like there's video clips we show at the beginning, isn't there?
Mhm.
Okay. I definitely want to do that. But so you're asking my overall goal for the launch?
Yeah. So what's your learning outcome for the lesson over the course of the 3 days?
With the launch. Oh, that's tricky. Okay, let me think about this. I would say this sounds crazy, but try to get with the routines that we were talking about with the questions, with that mini assessment at the end. That type of thing. Use this to get in the routine for the rest of the unit.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
So are you talking about the first read and close read we talked about
Yeah.
yesterday?
Mhm.
Okay. So you want to read through here and get them into the routine of using that first read and then the close read.
Yes.
What about on page 230, talking about the summary and the quick rate, and then that evidence?
Yep.
Too.
I think that would be perfect.
Okay. So last week we talked about, or actually that was this week, somebody
Yes.
wanted but so summary strategy. That's mostly for narratives.
Okay.
So we'll need to
Perfect.
come up with another strategy for information.
For this. Okay.
So that will be our next, to do.
Or to do. Okay.
So your learning
And one-
outcome tied to the standards though, reading the text itself. Are we going to try to determine the central idea?
Yes, especially for 7th grade. That's something consistently in Unit 1 was a work in progress. I don't think they've necessarily mastered that yet.
Okay.
So
let's think about after you do the video and after you read the text with them, you're going to try to make sure that they can identify the central idea. You're going to analyze the central idea's development, and then you're going to have them write the objective summary.
Perfect.
I'm on.
She can't her back, and she's preparing for a class with Miss Mazzarato. Am I on video?
Yeah, sorry about that. That's too much.
oh my goodness, it's too much.
All right, so
Okay.
back to these.
Yes.
So we're going to focus on 127A, key ideas and details.
Okay.
That will be a great starting point for them to then
Perfect.
also get into the summary and then the quick write,
Okay. Can I
which
write that
then
in here?
the quick write, which then will tie into the performance-based assessment at the end of the unit.
Perfect.
So on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, this is kind of how you're going to go out.
Map it out.
Map
Okay.
it out. And then, have you used the evidence log in Unit 1?
No.
No. Okay.
Did I? No.
There's an additional resource on
I like that.
Schoology
Okay.
that makes it a little bit bigger.
Okay.
So either you can use the handout or you can have them write it in the notebook. I know you like
Like
writing in the
we
notebook.
do, yes.
So you're going to be coming
Okay.
back to that essential question each time. What can cause a significant change in someone's life?
Okay.
So their initial response will be here. As you're reading through the text, you're going to be
Throughout the
gathering
whole
more
unit.
throughout the whole unit. You'll be gathering more and more evidence to
Perfect.
help support their thinking, and that thinking can change.
Absolutely.
So that's why they fill out one of these each time.
Okay.
so that they can kind of see how.
Rather than just talking about it,
Right.
like we can actually put it.
Yeah,
into
because
words.
in the text it's too small. They need it
Absolutely.
in their notebook
Okay.
or a bigger handout.
That could
that-
possibly be a handout since they're going to use it
Mm-hmm.
all
We're
the
going
time.
to use it for each text.
Yeah. Okay.
So that will then get them into the next learning
Mhm.
outcomes. So for informational text, if you use it for this launch text,
Mhm.
you would then be citing text evidence that most strongly supports an analysis of what the text says explicitly and implicitly.
Okay.
When you move into the following week and you're reading Scrooge,
Mhm.
you're going to transition that thinking from explicit and implicit to the literature standard.
Yes. Okay.
So you've practiced it in the informational, and then you're
Absolutely.
going to practice and apply it in the
Okay.
Scrooge text.
In a much bigger piece
Right.
of literature.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that will be for the following week.
Okay.
though. But if you want to get into that, if you want the outcomes to be looking at the routines,
Yep.
you want to get in the habits of those.
Yes. Is it too early to do that for the launch?
I don't think since you're going to take 3 days on it.
Right.
Because usually it doesn't take that long, but
No.
because of the timing and things
Spreading
like
it
that.
out. Exactly.
Right, right. And you're still finishing your writing piece.
Yes.
Too.
Yep.
So
That
you're going
will
to
be
need
all
that.
mixed in.
You're going to
Okay.
need that time. So-
Perfect.
So in terms of what we're focusing on
Mhm.
here for your launch,
Yes.
we've established what your outcomes are going to be. We've established some of your tasks.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you envision that your students will be doing either independently or guided by you, and what will you be doing to assist them?
So with 7C, you
Okay.
know that they can independently work through stuff pretty well.
Okay.
But sometimes I feel like I let go of that too soon. So with that crew, I think, I definitely want to model like some of the routines like I showed you. But I think by Thursday, they could be doing some of this independently / with the person sitting next to them of, okay, how do we annotate this part of the text? How do we do this part? And I feel like they could do that independently or with their partner.
Okay.
As far as, go on.
What will you be doing as they're working independently and with your partner?
So I think an area of growth for me is to be, rather than like making sure behavior wise they're good to go, would be to academically have my little checklist of, okay, did each table group have 2 notes that I asked them to have? Check. So actually have that checklist for me, since I am a visual, like
Right.
checking off literally,
Absolutely.
or stamping it, whatever I'm going to be doing, but to hold them accountable to the task that I'm trying to teach them to do / routine.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So you're going to want them to be able to summarize and then answer this quick right.
Yes.
So when you get them started on the launch text, how will you set the purpose for their learning so that they are able to do that successfully?
Able to summarize? So I think maybe, this is short, so maybe putting a star by or underlining 3 important pieces of text.
Okay, so when you were speaking about annotating earlier, you're going to
Yes.
have them focusing on what's important
Yep.
in the text.
3 important lines or phrases.
Okay, great. And that will help them be able to do these
Yes.
things
Yes.
at the end.
That has
so
been helpful for central idea.
perfect.
Oh, we have it.
Right.
Oh, there you go.
So you're saying
Yes.
the purpose for their annotation prior
Yep.
to reading it so that
Okay.
they'll be able to be successful at the tasks that you
Yes.
have them do later. Perfect.
Okay.
All right, and then let's think about.
That's important for me to remember.
So I feel like we'll have to maybe address this evidence log as well.
Yes.
So if you look at the parts of the evidence log for their tasks,
Sorry.
connection to prompt, text evidence details, and additional notes and ideas. The
Okay.
one online is a slightly different version, but it's the same idea.
Okay.
So in terms of what will your students do and what will you be doing, you'll probably need to, you mentioned model, how to complete this, because this is a little more abstract
Okay.
thinking than just identifying what's important.
Right.
It's picking something with a purpose in mind, and that purpose is going to be connected to that.
The essential question.
Yeah, that question.
Now, would it be too much if I did this along with them?
That might be a good idea if you're using it for the first time.
Like, yeah, like if I created one and then revisited it every single time, is that too much?
With the one group that you're talking about, they might they might require you to do one with them,
Right, not all of them.
then maybe give them, so maybe you want to give them the evidence here and then
Right.
have them explain it.
Perfect.
And then do a third one where they do all 3 by themselves.
Right, because
That
they
way,
can. It's just a different.
yes, and it's just a different way for
Okay.
them to think through it.
Perfect.
And that will end up helping them with that outcome that you'll be working on for key ideas
Okay.
and details. And you already had mentioned that you're going to use the videos and
Yes.
that go with. Have you looked at them yet?
I have not.
I haven't either.
I have not.
Not since last year. So, okay, the Obama acceptance speech. That's
Okay.
a good one.
Cool.
Have you used the bounce apps yet?
Hold on a sec. My books.
Oh yeah, my book's different. I forgot
That's
about
okay.
that. I got the advanced copy.
Oh. Okay.
Which video do you have?
A transformation about a butterfly.
Wow, that's totally different.
Okay. Now, would that still be an option?
It might be. So we should look.
Be better than
Yeah.
a butterfly.
My transformation butterfly.
Uh-huh.
So let's see if we can look at both of those
Yes.
before next Wednesday.
Perfect.
And then you can determine which one would work, and maybe you do both.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If it's
Because
necessary.
that's my question for you is how do you plan on getting the students motivated for this unit? So using the videos and maybe exploring the idea of using the bounce apps with the iPads if you can get them from Miss Weatherspoon's class.
That would be awesome.
That would really help
Bounce
that
apps?
that
Yes.
group get engaged into the lesson.
Because they'll get their work done, but like I said, what day was that? Yesterday, they just want to fly through it.
Right.
So we need to like do some more.
have more engaging tasks.
Yes.
And then make sure that with whatever you're using the bounce app for or the speeches or the video, that you have a line of questioning prepared ahead of time to help them make the connection between the multimedia and the text that they're going to read.
/ the turning point.
Right,
question.
the turning point question.
Awesome.
Let's see what else we need to think about. So we have that going. So you already have answered this, but I'm just going to paraphrase.
That's
So
fine.
you are saying that as the students are working, you're going to walk around with a checklist to help them.
Yeah, or a stamper.
A stamper, okay. And then you can make sure that they're meeting the learning goals. So
Absolutely.
if they're not annotating in the text the right way, you'll be able to help them
Right.
out. You'll
Right.
be able to look and hear their conversations
'Cause
about
I don't
the text.
think I
So I
need-
think you're going to do. You said together.
Yes.
They can work together if they want.
Because I don't need to do that with that group. Like I don't need to go on the projector and do it all with them.
Right.
They can do that independently / with a group.
Perfect.
Okay.
So the one thing that we hadn't discussed was the vocabulary word network,
Yes.
and then and the goal setting.
Okay.
So if you would prefer to use this, that might be a good idea.
Okay.
Making sure read and analyze explanatory text. That goes along well with the I can statements that we already did. So maybe you do give this to them instead of going through these ones.
So would this be too much to do both?
It might be
Redundant.
But what you want to call out in this section here on page 226 would be the writing, language, and speaking, because our focus at STARE is looking at the informational text and the literature
Right.
text. That doesn't mean that these don't come into play.
Absolutely.
So you might want to
Okay.
just address them quickly so that they know what's coming.
Okay.
Even though it's not going to be next week for this particular lesson, you might want to make sure that they are aware of these goals. So
Would it be crazy to make a poster with them?
how would you use it?
Well, I'm thinking because this is a lot to put on a poster. Like this is more individual.
Yes.
If I did this on some type of poster and we were able to, as a class, move our sticky note, like a whole class sticky note, where do you think we are?
That might be a good idea.
Or is that maybe too overwhelming for them?
It's worth a try.
Okay.
It's worth a try.
Something to think about. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe just leave out the reading goal since that's our
It's
goal
here,
here.
exactly.
But just
Okay.
looking at the writing, language, and speaking, and listening, that could help you too. Keep that
That's kind of where I was going.
perfect.
Okay.
In terms of the academic vocabulary, these are ones that you can add to your word wall. So
Okay.
we'll be referring to them for the duration of the unit.
Perfect.
If you want to move through this in their notebook, you can, or if you come up with a more creative way, I know that you always like to do that.
I do, but yeah, that is nice. That's
Yeah.
organized though.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is.
Okay.
And then back to that word network.
Yes.
So the turning points, this ties with the PBA at the end, obviously.
Yeah.
So you're just going to be talking about the words from the text and how they could, how they will be able to be applied throughout the unit.
Okay.
So this is a beginning, and they can add on to it throughout the unit.
Okay.
You could make this a chart in your class, and then you can just add on throughout the unit.
Got it.
They can do this in their notebook and come back and refer to it.
I think that would be nice.
Right. So
Okay.
because we always want to make sure, what are we reading, what are we writing, and then what are the new words that we're learning
Right.
and things of that
Okay.
nature.
Perfect.
So, do you have any other questions about what we've been talking about here?
No, I think this is good to actually be spending more time, because I feel like the beginning of the year I probably didn't. You know what I mean? Like on Unit 1. So I think this is perfect to just be spending more and more time on the launch. But I don't think so. I don't think I have any questions on that.
So, in terms of when I come in next week, what do you want me to look for while I'm in the classroom? What type of feedback would you like me to provide based on your lessons?
I would say feedback on, this is weird, but feedback on the feedback I'm giving them.
Perfect.
Because the change I made with my 8th grade was like night and day. That was more
Excellent.
behavior.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's like excellent,
but
yeah.
yes. So if we can do that, now this would be 7th grade would be more academic focused feedback that I would be needing from you. But am I just giving all praise? Am I giving not enough praise? How can I really tailor my feedback instead of, oh, here's your stamp, good job, let's keep on going. So something a little bit more like I want to tailor my feedback for that.
That sounds good.
And a way that I can, you gave me that idea to do, what is that question? Those first read, no. First read extension.
The first read extension
Yes,
question.
so maybe some more ideas for that group on how to check, did we meet the standard?
So how can we take the I can statements and apply them to the first read extension questions to make sure they're going a little deeper?
Yes, are you asking me that?
No, I'm asking you if that's what you mean.
Yes, it is, 100%.
Perfect.
Yes, because I think they are connected, we know that, because they're connected to the standard, but I want to make sure that I'm sharing with my students how we're meeting that goal.
Okay. And those first read extension questions can also be used to assess whether or not. So you could be going around and checking these off as they're going. The students can be checking off and saying they're growing, but using those first read extension questions can really be your assessment of that and not a quizzy type of a way.
No, absolutely.
Right. Okay.
We came up with a word. We were going to say they were not a minute.
Check-ins?
A check-in.
Yeah, check-in.
Yes, we're checking in.
We're checking in to make sure we're actually doing what we're saying we're doing.
Check-ins with our...
So that will be the second thing I'll look for.
Yes.
The first one will be your feedback on feedback, and then your academic focus are how can we incorporate the first read extensions. Perfect. All right. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we think about your 30 minutes?
Let me look. No, because that's really the extent of the launch. So, no, I think we're good.
So that will be for 3 days next week, and then you'll move into Scrooge, and then we'll meet again next Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Is it too early to move in? We're ready for Scrooge, right? Because you said it's long.
Yes.
Perfect.
I think that would be.
Okay.
Yeah, it did take some time.
Okay.
I think we tried to finish it right before Christmas last year, which ended up seasonally working out very well.
Okay.
So in terms of your 30 minutes of DI with this group, I have your data from MAP for this class that's broken down by the RIT goal bands.
Yes.
So have you started your small group rotations
I
with
have,
this class?
and they are grouped for the most part by their MAP data.
Perfect. How's it going?
Well,
Okay.
some of us are struggling to work with our MAP data groups.
So it's more behavior.
Yes.
Okay.
But otherwise,
Otherwise, it's working well.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So here are your goals. And what I'd like to do at our PLC is take this sheet as well as this sheet and then look at the learning continuum to really see what the students need in terms of back to the Pearson standards.
Yes.
So there's a lot of this is what I was talking about at our PLC the other day. Like, how are we going to use all of these different things to help the students?
Right.
So I feel like having this and this, as well as knowing what we're teaching, will help us hone in on the learning continuum when we're looking at it.
Okay.
So I gave you guys directions on how to access the learning continuum on the map.
On the map site.
Right. So our PLC should be next Thursday. So we'll see. There's a lot going on.
Yes.
I don't want to spend this time now showing you and
totally
going
fine.
through that because I want you to focus on your lunch for next week. But the next step would be then to take the data and then start thinking about what does Vache need, because she's already in the 181 for informational. Okay, we're reading the launch next Wednesday, so how are we going to make sure she can get there?
Right. Make sure she's ready to read that.
Right.
Okay.
So when we look at the learning continuum, there's a lot of great resources that show us how different vocabulary and how we can literally scaffold her teaching to get her to the right place, step by step.
Because she she'll see this and she'll want to shut down a little.
Right.
And that's just the
so
launch.
if we know ahead of time what we need to be asking her to get her to the right place, then we'll be ready to get her
Would
there.
it be too much to provide students in this range with like some stuff before class or before the lesson?
I think that's a good idea.
To like, just not like, you know, a huge extensive resource, but just something to build a little bit of confidence. Hey, here's where we're headed. Here's what you can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that kind of thing.
when we look at the learning continuum, we'll be able to see certain vocabulary words that might help her. We
Perfect.
can give her a little note card with those.
That's all.
That is DI at its finest. So that's
Okay,
something to work
good.
for,
Yeah,
for sure.
right, that'll be a goal.
It's not always just a small group mini lesson, but
Right.
giving her the supports that she needs to
Right.
be successful
Prior
in
to
the
the lesson.
classroom.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And we can even make it a resource for all the students, and then give her a special one in her folder too.
Right,
That
okay.
would be a great idea.
So she has a copy of it right there with her.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Perfect. So I'm going to give you these 2 forms from the
Thank
map,
you.
and then I'll give you back your tracking sheet. And
Teacher
this will
track.
be what we'll do at our next PLC,
Perfect.
so that you have a heads up on what we're
Like
going
I'm running.
towards.
Perfect.
So I think we have a pretty good plan. Is there anything
Yes.
else that you need at this point? I know the bell just rang, so.
No, you're good. I don't think I was looking at my list, but I don't think so.
Okay.
This was productive.
Oh,
You
good,
did
good.
a good
Thank
job.
you. I'm glad. I'm
Yes.
glad. If you have any questions over the weekend, just text me.
Always.
Thank
Bother
you.
you. Thank